What if the reason your Lightroom edits still don't look quite right has nothing to do with talent and everything to do with a few mistakes you don't even notice? Because after more than 10 years of editing photos and teaching photo editing to thousands of people around the world, I can tell you that that happens all the time. Mistake number 1. So, have you ever edited a photo and technically it looks better, but somehow it still feels a bit dead? Kind of like it's not as punchy as you would have liked. I mean, you fixed the exposure, you've pulled the highlights down, and you've maybe added a bit contrast, and of course moved a few sliders around, and the image, it has changed, but it still doesn't feel, shaped. And it kind of feels like everything in the photo is getting treated exactly the same. And that is usually the problem. Because, my friend, most photos, they're not just one thing. They're layers. You got the sky, you got the subject, you got the foreground, and you got the background as well. And those parts, they usually don't need the same treatment. This is a really awkward situation for my aunt here. But the thing is, a lot of people, they still edit their whole image like they're buttering a toast. You just spread it everywhere evenly, across the entire frame. And that's where editing starts to feel kind of flat. Because global adjustments are great for getting your image into the ballpark, but they're usually not what makes it feel truly polished. What makes an image feel more intentional is when different parts of the photos get different attention. I mean, maybe the sky needs pulling down a bit, and maybe the subject, it needs a little bit of lifting and some boost to it, and maybe the foreground, it needs a bit of texture, but the rest, it doesn't. And maybe the highlights need fixing in one area without dragging them down on the entire photo. Basically, by using masks, this is how you take full control of your image and start shaping the light instead of just adjusting the whole thing. So, my friend, don't make this common mistake so many people are making by editing everything globally instead of using them juicy masks. And the truth is, once you start using masks properly inside of Lightroom, that's when the program starts to make way more sense, because now you're not just editing the photo, you're guiding the eye and you're creating depth. We love that. However, even when people start using more of Lightroom, there's still one tool loads of photographers avoid for no good reason at all. By the way, I made a free 33-day email series to help you become a better photo editor. It's just one short tip a day, and it's totally free. You can find it in the description down below. Mistake number 2. So there is this one Lightroom panel I've noticed a lot of people look at and they instantly think, nope, not today. Because it looks hella technical and maybe a bit scary as well. It kind of looks like one tiny move and your photo is about to fall down the stairs. So instead, I've noticed that a lot of people just skip it completely and they just use the contrast slider instead. And look, the contrast slider, it's fine, it works. I use it all the time, but it's kind of like seasoning food using a massive shovel, It does the job, of course, but it's not very, what is the English word here? Delicatively. It's not very delicate. And that's because the contrast slider, it pushes the image around in a much more general way. I mean, it gives you contrast, yes, of course it does that, but not much control over how that contrast actually feels. That's why so many good edits rely on a tool people avoid, the tone curve. And the reason it matters so much is not because it's fancy, it's because it gives you better control. My friend, by using the tone curve, you can shape the shadows, tweak the midtones, control the highlights much more naturally, and you can make the contrast feel softer, cleaner, or like moodier without smashing the whole image. I mean, a gentle little S-curve can make an image feel more alive. Lifting the blacks a little bit down in the bottom can make it feel more film-like. And another cool part is that just tiny curve changes can completely change the mood. I always say it when using the tone curve, you should just massage it a little bit. Massage it a little bit here. Massage it a little bit there. And that's a thing that a lot of people miss. The tone curve is not about making massive dramatic edits. It's about subtle control. So if you've been ignoring it because it looks complicated or daunting, then don't overthink it, my friend. Just start tiny, like seriously tiny, because as we touched on before, with the tone curve, small moves they do a lot. But while some people are definitely too careful when it comes to Lightroom, other people go in like they're trying to cook their goddamn images with a flamethrower. And my friend, I hope that you're not still doing this next mistake. Mistake number 3. So you're all comfortable, sitting in a chair, maybe a little coffee by a table, and you start to editing your photo. You push the colors around a little bit, then at first it feels great. The image, it pops more, the sunset, it looks richer, and the greens feel alive. Everything just feels exciting, like, I'm alive, you know? That's how I feel when I edit. So naturally, when you're in that beautiful flow, you push it a little bit more. And then even more. And now the photo looks like a tourist postcard that just got punched in the face. That happens all the time. Because more colors feels good at first. It feels dramatic, it feels punchy, but then very quickly it starts feeling fake. And that, my friend, is without a doubt one of the most common Lightroom mistakes. People push the colors way too far. And I'm saying this all from experience. I've been there embarrassingly often. And it's just such an easy mistake to make. Because when you're like starting out an edit and you've been editing a photo for quite so long and you're sitting in your chair, you start to get colorblind in the worst possible way. It's easy. So here are 2 simple tips. First, step away from your computer for a minute and come back with a fresh pair of eyes. It's simply just amazing of how much you start to notice when you do that. It's like when you do that, you all of a sudden notice when you come back, like, okay, amigo, I went way too hard here. The second is something I once heard from a colorist, and he said, split the difference. Basically what it means by that is that when you push a color slider to where you think it looks good, pull it back slightly, just to be safe, aka splitting the difference. However, once people stop overcooking their color, they usually move on to another big mistake instead. Mistake number 4. So there are these 2 sliders in Lightroom that make people feel like they're editing gods for about 5 seconds. Because once you start touching them, everything just looks so much more dramatic, more gritty, more intense, and more cinematic, apparently. And that's exactly why people abuse them so much, because the effect of these sliders are just instant. I mean, you move to the right or left, and it just feels like the photo got better. But you keep going, and suddenly the image looks just crunchy as hell. Your clouds and your images starts to looking weird, your skin starts to look rough, textures get way too aggressive, and the whole thing just starts feeling well overcooked, you know? Like way beyond. And that, my friend, is the trap with clarity and dehaze. They are powerful and very, very useful, but stupidly easy to overdo. You see, clarity, it boosts mid-tone contrast, and dehaze, it boosts the contrast and the saturation together. So when you push them too far, the image starts looking less natural and more like it's just trying really, really hard. And keep in mind that this also applies in the other direction. Going negative on clarity to soften the image, which is a look that's been really popular for the last few years, or negative dehaze to add mood and haze, is also super easy to overdo. You see, these tools are best when they support the image, not when they become the whole, how can I say this, like the personality of the entire image, you know? And come to think about it, these sliders are honestly often best when there are local adjustment, because maybe the mountain of your photos, it needs a little bit of extra of that spice, but your whole photo, it might not necessarily need it. However, even if you fix that, there is another mistake people make that wastes way more time than it actually should. By the way, if this way of thinking about editing is making sense and clicking for you, you'd probably love my Lightroom masterclass. It's basically everything that I've learned about editing photos over the past 10 years, both as my biggest passion and as a professional, packed into one simple course. And the goal is not just to show you what the sliders do, it's to also teach you how to actually think like a proper photo editor, because that's the part a lot of people are missing. I mean, anyone can copy sliders, but understanding why an edit works, how to shape the light, how to control color, how to guide an eye, and how to make an image actually feel the way that you want it to feel. That, my friend, changes everything. Now, inside the course, I walk you through real edits, my actual process, and how I approach different photos, and also how I build edits edits that feels intentional instead of just random. There's also a full module on color theory, which helps you understand color on a much deeper level instead of just pushing sliders around and hoping for the best. So if you ever felt that your editing is all over the place or your photos never quite match the vision that you have in your head, then this course is built to help with exactly that. At the time of the recording, over 600 photographers have already taken it, and the response I've been getting has been overly positive. And I can confidently say that this course and this class will improve your editing skills massively in just 30 days. If not, I will give you your money back. Now, there is a link down in the description down below if you want to check it out. All right, so let's talk about the next mistake. Mistake number 5. So a lot of people treat presets like there's some sort of magic cheat code. Apply a preset, done. Photo is saved. Career restored. World peace achieved. And you know, I get why people think like that, because that's kind of how presets are sold. Like you just click one button and then suddenly your photo looks expensive. But that's not what a preset is. You see, a preset is just a saved slider setting. That's it. It has no clue what photo you're applying it to. And it does not know whether the photo was overexposed or underexposed, or if it was too warm or too flat, or if it was too contrasty already. What I'm trying to get at here is that it's just a starting point. And that's the mistake. I see people all the time treat presets like the final editing instead of the beginning of one. Because the thing is, every photo is different light, different colors, different exposure, different mood, and so on and so on. So of course, a preset, it won't land perfectly every time. It can. It's really nice, like a hole-in-one when it does, but that's not given, you know? And what I'm saying here does not mean that presets are bad. I personally use them every single day. I couldn't really live without them. They're actually really, really useful. I mean, they can speed things up big time, help with consistency, and give your photo a stronger starting point. But they still need you. You still have to adjust the exposure, fix the white balance, tweak the contrast, and so on and so on. However, even beyond sliders and presets, there is this one mistake that quietly messes with people the most, and it's not really about Lightroom at all. Mistake number 6. You see, throughout the years, I've noticed that a lot of photographers edit their photos like there must be one correct formula. One right order, one perfect recipe, one secret sequence of sliders that all of the good editors know, and the rest is just trying to figure out. And I mean, look, that mindset, it makes sense, because tutorials often make editing look like baking. Do this, then this, then this, and if you follow the steps, you will get results. But editing is not really like that. It's kind of more like cooking. There are some basic things that help, for sure. You will usually want to fix your exposure quite early on, and you of course probably want to get your white balance somewhere in a decent place, and then doing the basic correction before the tone curve is also a really nice thing, and that kind of stuff, it makes sense. But after that, editing, it becomes more of an interpretation. Is the English word. Interpretation. Because there's not just one way for a photo to look good. I mean, you can take the same raw file and make 2 totally different edits that both work. Different contrast, different mood, different colors, and different feeling, and neither one of them has to be wrong. Both can be right. You can also take a raw file and go 2 completely different paths and end up with very similar results. And that, my friend, is the part that people need to hear. Photo editing is not about discovering the one perfect formula. It's about developing taste and learning what you like, and also learning what kind of images actually feel like you know? And my friend, the thing is that only happens by experimenting, by trying things, messing things up, making like super ugly, sucky edits, and then you make some better edits, and then slowly but surely you start to realize what kind of look that you keep coming back to. That's how style actually gets built, not by following the same recipe forever. However, even if you avoid all of these mistakes, there are still a few tools in Lightroom that feel almost unfairly useful. I'm talking the kind of stuff that will speed up your editing, save bad photos, and make you feel like you're actually getting away with something. So if you want to see the 7 Lightroom secrets that feel like cheating, then my friend, you should watch this video right here next.